Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to another Ready List video. I hope you all are having a great week so far and had a good day today. There was a lot of undercut and rallies today. Some names fell into support, acted pretty nice. You had SMH kind of coming into the 20 day. And a lot of stuff, there was some relief in some names today as far as some sort of a bounce. So it was definitely interesting to keep track of relative strength. What names have been holding up the best throughout this short little pullback and the overall market, right? It hasn't been too much just yet, but we're finally starting to digest. Market's finally starting to pull back. So what names are holding up the best is definitely what I'm trying to keep my eyes on as best as I can. And yeah, I'm just going to go through my ready list and I hope you guys enjoy. So AAOI, really nice day today. It kind of gets a nice little pullback, undercuts and rallies the 20 day and puts in a nice reversal bar. This is where I'm looking for sort of a higher low off this spot through the prior day's high. I think this could be a really good spot for this name. You look at a weekly chart, so far it's just an inside week. It's kind of been, sideways for a few weeks. You got the pivot above its head. So I like this one. It's been building higher lows, kind of held the 20 every single time, right? So anytime it kind of pulls back into it, it either undercuts and rallies back through it, or it's just found higher lows in that sort of area recently. And then you got the rest of the group. Coherent, I think, is another one that doesn't look too bad. This thing definitely can make the list. Another one where it's like it pulls back to the 20, it's right under a pivot. I would throw this name on your list if you could. GLW, not my favorite out of them. It's still below the 20, not really too much, but this is the same one where it's like, can it get back above the 20? It's very possible. It's made higher lows every single time, kind of in this area, and it likes to lose its 20 for a little bit and then push back through it. So definitely is possible. LITE, another name on the list, kind of same thing. This one also is below its 20, but it's made higher lows in the spot. It's not extended from its 50 day. It's something I really want to keep an eye on. And I really like the action on this name as far as like the fact that it's been going sideways. And it's got a nice pivot above its head. This whole kind of optics group kind of looks that similar way. VIAV, I'm pretty sure, is another optics name. Comes into the earnings low. It kind of rallies through it, not quite. It barely held there at the end of the day. This one was a little bit harder one to try to take, but maybe a rally back through that earnings low can be interesting. This isn't on my ready list because it's not my favorite out of all of them, but I really do like LITE, like I said. Just through the prior day's high, can maybe establish a higher low from here, and I think that would be a good spot. If it can push early enough through the prior day high, and obviously same thing with AAOI. I really like this spot. I think this one out of all of them is my favorite, besides COHR, which, I might as well add COHR onto this list. I think it looks pretty good as well. So kind of that same group and feel as far as a higher low setup. AEHR, this name's gotten hit so hard, but I've wanted these, the washout for the undercut and rally, right? So this name didn't quite undercut this pivot just yet. It was like 5 cents off this morning. If I can even show you, it's not going to show. Okay, so, it practically did. It was very close. Not quite though, but definitely something I want to keep an eye on here for an undercut and rally. It's coming right into that spot, so it's definitely an area I'm keeping an eye on. But is this thing building a new base? If so, I need to see it bounce in this area at least. So definitely important. If it undercuts it, and then bounces through, who knows? That's definitely what I want to pay attention to. And this name has been super strong, and I think it's very possibly building a new base. But I would say if it loses this area and closes below it, I'm probably not interested until it can get to the 50 day maybe, and we'll see from there. But besides that, this name's been super strong. I'm pretty sure that this is a semiconductor. I may be wrong. No, okay, I forget which group this is. I don't think this is optics, but this name has been super, super strong since the March/April lows. And yeah, I had a really nasty kill bar yesterday. That super ugly. I just want to see it bounce off this area. That's pretty much all I can say. Amazon, this is a name I bought today, and I can show how I bought this one. But if you flip to a weekly chart, super important pivot. It kind of starts to digest, comes right into it. Nice pullback, loses the 20, but falls off a gap down. Pretty weak in the morning. It was down a whole lot this morning. I watched for a 620 setup. The second I saw that 620 setup, I started getting long AMZU. I got about a 5% position this one. I didn't want to add to this one because I tried to add to Tesla the other day when I bought it, and it was working really well. I added to it once or twice, and then it came back on me, and it was just like not really what I want to see. So I will start like really adding on to positions once I can see them actually start working. But for now, like I think 5% is the most I'll do. I have like a little over a 3% cushion, I think, on this name, or close to it. So I was comfortable with holding this one overnight. I like the way it closed above that level. So it would be important to see this one push above today's high. Maybe I could see myself adding to it if my other stuff that I bought today is working, which I will also talk about. But I like this pullback. I like the spot. It came into, and it just needs to hold. These lows of the day today need to hold. ARM, this one was on yesterday's watch list. I think it had a great day today. It showed nice relative strength on Monday and then really just pushed right through the prior day high. Today, didn't get into this one. I own this name from all the way down here and rode it all the way up, but I really got rid of pretty much everything. So it's not really even a position for me anymore, but it's just a name I would like to just try to get back into. And so what I could see is like puts in an inside day tomorrow, maybe pulls right back to this pivot. That's an area where I'll look for like a 620 setup or, an undercut of this area or a bouncing off this area and then forms an inside day. I think that would be super constructive. It did build the higher low. So, we got the higher low now. I think that's extremely attractive. Definitely a name I should have taken today, but I was focused elsewhere, as well as I've been trying to sit in my hands as best as I can. Don't need to trade a whole lot in this market. So we will see. But if you throw yourself to other stocks in that group, you got something like an AMD, right? Kind of pulls back to the earnings low, undercut, rallies it. This name is still, 6 ATRs from its 50, or sorry, it's almost 7.5 ATRs from its 50. So it's extended. Not really something I want to jump onto. Obviously, if I throw on the SMH, it holds a 20-day, super nice day. That's awesome, right? And then Intel, same thing, right? Where it holds your 20-day. And has a nice reversal candle, but this is another one where it's like it's over 7 ATRs from its 50. I don't want to get involved here while it's still super extended. So I'd rather go with other stuff. And MXL is kind of like that same thing where this one's over 12 ATRs from its 50, but right, this does look like a high type flag, so I could see this thing still going up despite the fact that it's extended. I've studied many stocks when it comes to the high type flag setup, and really the extension from the 50, it is important, but more so these stocks will make a super quick move in a short period of time without caring how far they are extended from their 50 days. Okay. And I usually only see that with a high type flag setup. And this is what it looks like it's trying to build. I didn't like that. It was nice to see this name, like, as far as like the names that were up today, this was one of the top ones, but I wanted to see it just kind of quiet down for a little bit longer, but it pushed out today. It probably offered a nice setup intraday whether it comes to 620. It definitely did somewhere around here. So that was nice. But just something I want to keep an eye on, see if it pulls back. It does look a high type flag to me, and this group is extremely strong, like everything I showed you. NVTS is another semiconductor name where it pulls into the 20, holds a 20. This is also on my watch list. I want to be very careful with these semiconductor names because a lot of them are still extended. But this NVTS is only 3.8 ATRs from its 50. It's not extended, so I'm watching this one over the prior day high. I think that would look great. And then, pushing through this little pivot on the weekly would be interesting as well. Anybody that buys the breakout late, stops them out today. So that's really nice. Grabs up some shares, shakes out all the weak hands that bought this thing way too late. The time to buy it was when it was coming out of its high type flag, and now it's trying to offer a higher low setup. So we'll see if that will work. ATEN. Double inside day, looks like a little cup base. I talked about this one about I think it was on Friday, or maybe it might have been yesterday. It puts in another inside day today. I think this one is super interesting. Definitely something I want to keep an eye on. Don't know if I would buy this name, but definitely something to keep an eye on. It's pretty slow as far as 3% per day, so I'm trying to focus more on the higher beta names. But yeah, moving on. BE, super nice undercut and rally. I did not take this one, although I should have. I was stalking this one all day, and I just let it go. Super nice candle right here. You could have bought it there. Super low risk. You're risking 2%, almost 3% on a stock that moves, 9% per day. I would think that's a third of the ATR for the day. That is perfect. That is, usually about a half is my favorite to risk, or, usually where I'll see a lot of areas to risk. Anything below that, though, especially if it's an undercut and rally, usually that risk is tighter. Or if it's a support gap, that's usually my favorite because the risk is so small. But that was a great spot. Definitely could have got that one there. That was a big miss by me, but I was able to get Amazon. I was able to get Tesla today. It comes right into the support gap. It's kind of same setup, right? You see the support gap here. It based it all day, and then it popped right through. The second I saw it pop right through, this is where I got it. Stop at low a day. This is another one where it's 1.2% stop. Oops, on a stock that moves 4% per day. I like that. I think that's really good. So I would love to see this thing get back above the 200, break through the prior day high, break through that little gap I got marked. I think that would be very constructive, and it would definitely have me super interested, and maybe I could add onto the position slowly. I don't want to get too aggressive right now, but we will have to see. And that's how I feel about like everything as far as like I don't want to get too aggressive. The first name I bought today was OUST, which pulled back into that support gap and bounce. And right here is where I got it. Right, I really like the action, super strong candle, so I did end up getting it right there. This one it's like stock moves, almost 12% per day, 5% to low a day. I think that's pretty good too. That's where I ended up taking mine. So I have some cushion on this one. I was able to hold this, but it's like I bought this originally. It started to work. I was like, okay. And then I saw Amazon doing the same thing where it was offering a 620 or Tesla. Can't remember which one I took first, but then I saw those ones setting up and giving entry spots. And so I was like, okay, one name starting to work. Let's try another one. And then that one started to work off the rip. And so I tried the other one and they worked. They gave me some cushion. So I want to be careful tomorrow. I don't want to get over aggressive, but some names are starting to finally work a little bit. I'm seeing a few more setups than I did last night. I will say that for sure. Some nice undercut and rallies in the market overall, though, as far as the setup aspect. BE, like I said, was a really nice one. So watching this one over the prior day higher, maybe falls right back into that area, gives us an inside day, but I could risk right off this low again. So we will have to see. COHR talked about this one. I think this is a great looking setup. CVI. Now I'm still seeing these oil and gas names act good, act fine. Some of them acted really well today. But overall, I think some of these are still trying to set up. Like if you throw on USO and just an inside day today, don't think that looks too bad. Crude oil, an inside day getting super tight before it looks like it's about to break out. So what will that mean for the markets? I don't know. I'm seeing some names start to work. I could also see some names roll over, and I think today's low on a lot of stuff is very important, especially like in Amazon. Like today's low, this has got to be the higher low. If not, I'm out. And to me, that would look like it would want to go lower. ARM, like yesterday's low would be extremely important because that would kind of break the chain of events of higher lows. AEHR not so much. AAOI possibly the same thing where it's like and even the QQQ and the SMH, right? If this, especially the SMH, a matter of fact, like your Intel, your AMD, if these lows break, it would just make me think that we're gonna lose a 20-day, we're gonna wedge drop, and we're possibly gonna want lower. So we'll have to see, or it will undercut, and then I'll watch for the rally the next day. Who knows? But either way, it's like don't want to lose the low on a lot of these names. So you got some oil names setting up. CVI, you flip to a weekly, super nice base, right? A nice cut base, and then like 4 weeks tight pretty much, and then inside day to day. Watching this one as a flat base breakout. DK, another one where this one almost is like a cup with handle, right? Cup, you get your handle, and then it puts in an inside day to day. The oil names still look great. Some of them are acting extremely well, like XOM just continuing higher. CBX, another one just continuing higher. Like a lot of these names, I have all of them, and I can go through them if you guys want. You can't say anything. There's no chat, but I'm not live. EOG, FANG, a lot of the oil and gas names, and I can just keep bringing them up and bringing them up. They're just slowly continuing higher. FANG, I think, is another one. I already have this one pulled up. CHRD, another one where it's like inside days. These things are slowly continuing. So DK, CVI, I think really nice inside days inside of their bases. Who knows if these things can break out? Flip it to a GEV, pulls into the earnings gap, finds support, right? If I flip to like an hourly, you can tell, find some nice support here. And it's trying to flag out. Looks like almost like a wick play. Usually I would look for this at like the top of the trend though, so I'm not really gonna say that, but it was a nice inside day. I would say a push above today's high would be super interesting. And this is another one where it's like the line in the sand now is Monday's low as we held above that today. So this is a spot where it's like pulls into the 50, possible higher low setup. Really like this one, filled the gap. I would love to see this thing push above the priority high, and you got yourself a nice little flag. And you flip to a weekly chart, I think this looks beautiful. I think this is an orderly pullback, and it looks awesome. So watching the priority high, yes, this thing has pulled back pretty nice relative to the market, which nice not in a bad way, like or nice in a bad way where it's like it's pulled back a little too much, more than I would want, as far as like maybe like a HUT or like a BE. These things, it's just digesting up here and just going sideways, while GEV's kind of just been straight down, or not straight down, I'm sorry, right? It's just been like, don't know how to explain it, but it looks like a flag almost, whatever, but I like the candle. Interesting. HUT is another name where it's like, okay, undercut and rally of the 20-day, not bad. You got your low from over here. This is where I'm going to look for a push through / the prior day's high, right? So today's high is an interesting day for me. This is another stock where it's like the line in the sand is today's low. Don't want to see us break it because this is the higher low potential. And there's a few names in this group that have gotten hit pretty hard as far as the WGMI group. HUT looks awesome. NBIS looks awesome. And then I think Riot as well looks awesome, right? These names all are offering potential higher low setups, potential lines in the sand, potential areas where you can easily risk off of going into tomorrow. A few of these definitely look like they're viable, like HUT. I think maybe could have been buyable off the 20. NBIS, I'm just watching this name to continue digesting, but it's obviously the leader of the group and looks really good. Riot kind of pulls into the big gap up day, find support. Didn't really push too far away from that. Maybe you saw a 620 setup, but I saw it better on other stuff where they were actually coming into important levels. This name still looks great. I would say above the priority high would be super interesting. Moving on to a Innodata, you get your big gap up on the highest volume ever. Another monster continuation day, and we build it. We're building a nice flag. However you want to look at this, however you want to draw it, but I think this name's super interesting over the priority high. But if we do get a washout in the morning, I'm watching this high volume close area for like an undercut rally slash an area for this thing to bounce. Super interesting spot. So definitely something I want to keep an eye on. LATE, we talked about this one as a higher low setup. NAVN. Super nice action recently. Like, you got your market pulling back, right? This is a technology name, and you got NAVN just building a really nice base here. So I think this is a really nice flat base. It's a super short, more like a mini base, but I really like this one. I don't know why this one is not coming up. Right, so this is going to be your DDOG group, right, which looks phenomenal. Your FROG, your Frog, CrowdStrike as far as obviously cybersecurity, Palo Alto, but technology in general. IGV, right, with a hammer down day today. But I mean, dude, this thing was buyable weeks ago, and people chasing it up here, right? Like, I tried to buy Microsoft today, and I got stopped. I had super tight risk, which I was okay with, but can't be stubborn, because if you're stubborn, you're gonna hold a UEC in uranium and you'll get destroyed, or like a CRML, right? If you're stubborn with pieces of shit names like this, then they will come back on you and you'll be sitting in them and you'll take massive losses. So don't be stubborn. If you're buying something late, you better be careful. But like DOCN, another one, FTNT, like all these tech names look really good, so I'm definitely keeping an eye on them. Some of these just to me need a little bit more sideways, come into better areas and bounce, and we'll see. But NAVN, clear base. Can it push through that? Possibly. It's on the thinner side, 65 million almost a day, so it's close to 100 million, but it's still a thinner stock. But I could see this thing pushing out for sure. You got almost 4 weeks tight, or sorry, 3 weeks tight, so it looks really good. NBIS we talked about, NVTS we talked about, OUST I took this one as that undercut rally. And I like the bar today. Like, over the priority high looks great. You flip to a weekly chart, just an inside week, after some really big volume last week, right? Huge gap up. PBF, this is another oil and gas name that I think looks pretty nice, getting super tight under the 50, building higher lows. Can this push out? If crude pushes out, it's possible. Riot I talked about. Tesla is a name I bought today. One of the 3 that I bought today was super small size, right? 5% Tesla, 5% in Amazon, and a 3% position in OUST. So not going in too much, about 13% of the portfolio. I will use staggered stops on pretty much every single one of these, but we will see how they open up in the morning. A lot of these I'll definitely watch how the market opens in the morning, and I'll be more interested. Last but not least, WGMI. I think this looks so good. This ETF looks awesome. It's sitting right under the support gap, and holds a 20-day. Super nice candle. This is the spot for a higher low. We do not want to see this low get broken, but I wouldn't be surprised if it goes sideways for a few days, or an inside day, or if it just bursts right through the priority high / the support gap. That would be extremely interesting. I talked about BE. Something alongside that is FCEL. It's kind of pulling back in the last 2 days, so holding the 10-day doesn't look too bad. This thing obviously was buyable from lower. Super nice setup. I talked about this one every single day throughout this sideways consolidation. Thought it was super nice. So keep an eye on these names. They're extremely strong. Sedge, right? And your solo groups. I'm very skeptical about trading these ones. They made big moves up. They haven't really digested too much yet, but I still think they look good, right? Sedge looks fine. ENPH looks fine. I'm not getting involved in these ones just yet. NXT, another one that, it's still sitting in the base, right? You flip to a weekly chart. It doesn't look too bad, right? Could just really push right out of the base. This nice flat base it's got going on, so I wouldn't be surprised if it does that. Definitely a name to keep an eye on, as well as the TAN. It pulled back today, right back inside of its pivot, but just at the 20-day, looks like a possible higher low spot. Not too bad. TNA, IWM, obviously a leverage name, comes back into the left bottom and finds support. Obviously IWM is going to be the same thing, but in fact, if you flip to a weekly, big important key level, we kind of a similar area from over here. We kind of came into that, found support. That's nice. Rocket Lab, another one that's a leader. This is not on my list because I don't think these names are viable just yet, but they are leading. I want to keep an eye on them. SATL, another one. LUNR, Another one where it's finally pulling back. I think this one looks good. This group has been super strong. PL had a nice bar today. Probably shook some people out that tried to buy this thing late in the last few days. FLY, it's building a cup. I'd like to see a handle or just continued sideways here. That would be interesting. And there was a few other nice undercut and rallies, like STRL was not too bad on the earnings low. PWR was not too bad on the earnings low, pretty much. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. I will say Iron, as far as the WGMI group, this one is not on my list because it's gotten hit so hard compared to the rest of the group. You know, you look at a WGMI and it's like, okay, it hasn't even barely lost a 20, right? But you look at Iron, it's like, this thing looks like it could lose a 50, but I don't think it's going to, right? It kind of comes back into that base that we talked about, you know, a week or two ago, and it found support there. Could have been an undercut rally setup. Not something I'd buy because this name's so weak compared to the rest. So it's funny how you can see the ones that are weak compared to the rest, they're not holding up as well towards the end of the day after they offer their buy points. Makes it difficult to hold these ones overnight with no cushion. But I don't think it looks bad. I don't think it looks terrible, but it's not something I'm too focused on right now. I'd rather focus on the HUT, NBIS, and Riot and things like that. But I appreciate you guys for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.